I'm Paul Sims, and I'm here with
Julie Bean,
Brad Isaacs,
Vicki Lewis.
And this episode is entitled, No, This Is Not Based Entirely on Julie's Life. And the Julie we're referring to is Julie Bean, who's here now, who's one of my oldest friends, was my assistant at Larry Sanders, and was my assistant at NewsRadio until she worked her way up to producer or something. Is that true?
Yeah, co-producer.
Didn't everybody have a producer title towards the last year?
Yeah, in the end.
That was generous.
Even Phil Dicker. Now, I really can't remember why we called this episode, No, This Is Not Entirely Based on Julie's Life.
I do.
Do you?
Yes.
Would you like to tell us?
I had a long-distance boyfriend in Ireland at the time, and I had come back after spending the hiatus with him in Ireland, and I thought maybe it'd be nice to send him some nude photos of myself. And I was weighing about 210 at the time when I sent them, and I told you guys that, and that's how this started.
It seems so unlike you, Julie. Remember no, seriously.
Did you
remember
ever
how
show them the pictures like we do in the episode? They didn't see the pictures.
No, but I did get them developed in a store, which was
right.
stupid.
That's
And you did make the ultimate mistake of telling us about it.
Yes. Well, I wear my heart on my sleeve.
And then it goes
And
right
that's
onto
not
television.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are those photos today?
I don't know. I've taken a number of photos of myself nude for various purposes, and they've all turned up in really wrong places. One was a little Polaroid shot of just my bottom area, and I used to share a wash machine with my neighbor, and my neighbor said, "Oh, I found this in the wash," and she handed me the Polaroid picture.
God.
Interesting. Now, Vicki, when we were shooting this episode...
I don't have any Polaroids, but I sat on a copy machine once. That's all I'll say.
Do you have that with you?
I didn't bring it with me.
When we were shooting this episode, were you aware that it was based... Well, you must have been. It
Well,
said
yes, I
this
was
is not
there.
based on Julie's life. But
Right,
were you
you
aware?
told me that, but I didn't think you liked me.
Oh, why?
Isn't that weird? Yeah, and so and then I thought you even hated me more for like not playing you well. You know?
Well, I did.
I'm like that because I get neurotic sometimes. And you and Maura were really close friends, and I thought, you were making fun of me often and stuff.
Mara thought I hated her too because I called you guys short at one point. And I thought you guys you're so sweet and little, and I thought you both hated me because I thought you were short.
Right? Isn't that interesting?
That is sort of a passive aggressive catty thing to say, like, "Oh, you two are so sweet and little."
I meant it in the way that it was cute. Like the little. I used to say they were little pocket Venuses and put them in my pocket and take them and carry them around.
If I could just interrupt, that was one of the first times we had something explode or blow up on someone, and it definitely wasn't the last time we did it either.
But from the look on Joe's face, it must have went off on time because he wanted to laugh.
I know, he always wants to laugh.
That was a good episode. What's next?
Oh no, it's still going.
What?
This was
I always thought my name in the credits. Look, everyone's has you can count it 1, 2, 3, 4. Mine's faster, and then that one goes, and then mine, and then mine, and it's gone.
I don't know.
No.
I didn't see it go.
I always felt like mine was shorter.
It's hard to believe Vicki's an actress.
Now that we go back and look at these things, not so bad.
No, not at all.
I remember you used to be, and not just you, but you used to be upset about the way we would edit the shows, and you felt like we were cutting out your best stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and remember, then we started getting savvy to you, and when you would ask us to do a take that got a really big laugh live after the show, we'd say, I'm not going to give it to you because you'll use it. Because you would sometimes pick the subtler take, and it wasn't the one that got the biggest laugh, and as an actor, that was hard.
Yes, but see, I should understand
Paul's
that.
job to be sort of the curator of this strange museum. So he had to...
My job to, take the humor out. No, and then you guys started making fun of me saying that in the editing room I had a special choppyifier machine that I would put the shows through to make them all choppy. And that hurt my feelings.
Did it?
And I'm here
We didn't.
so we
we
can
never
make
meant
up.
to hurt you.
Oh.
Actually, we did, I think. But
I think at different times during the show we all wanted to hurt each other
Yeah.
in some way.
Yeah.
But not during these first 2 seasons as
No.
much.
And I don't think anybody was being paranoid because, in fact, everybody really was talking about everybody else behind their back. that was the reality. And kind of the fun of the show, really, in a really sick way.
Dave looks really nice there. And so do I.
Yeah, that's a nice outfit. This was one of the first shows of the second season, and this was. I hope I haven't gone into this too much in the commentary, but that first half of the second season was our difficult period.
Yeah, it was.
With a different director every week. I don't think we went into that season particularly well planned with the scripts. I think we flew by the seat of our pants doing the first 7 episodes and thought we could do another 22 that way.
Yep.
And it turns out you really can't. You really do have to do some preparation beforehand.
Yeah, we just got, for some reason we had that energy the first 7 episodes where we could start writing at 3 in the morning, get a table draft down there, and then actually do rewrites during the week. And then after that, we just got really tired.
It's true.
Well, I think everybody forgot that you actually had to edit the shows after they were shot, and that took a little bit of time.
Yeah, that was the other hard
Did
part.
the writers get frustrated with your editing, or just the actors?
No,
Or just us?
I have to say that I don't think the writers got frustrated, but I don't know. I mean, they also, by the time we would even be shooting the show, if any writer was going to be frustrated, it was going to be stuff that already got cut, like
Right.
things that they'd written that already got
Yeah.
cut. But I don't think anyone. I don't know, Brad.
That more than any show I've worked on, there was less bitching about the rewriting thing, and I think part of it was that and I think Josh was saying this the other day that there was. I mean, I don't know if you talked about sort of the writing process. I don't want to be boring, but basically somebody would write a first draft, or a lot of times we would just each take a scene at midnight, and then it would all go through Paul at the end, and Paul would do his take. And since we all sort of had, this trust, and of course we would all bitch and moan like anybody else would, but there was sort of an ultimate trust that Paul was sort of doing the right thing, even.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it was, I think one of the things that made it good was that whatever bitching and moaning was very much on the surface. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
people going away in the rooms going, "You cut my best stuff," because I remember taking my final pass on scripts with Josh Lieb standing over my shoulder, and then I would come upon some reference to Archie comics or something that I knew was his favorite thing, and went in there, and I would just go, I can't do it, and you should go, "Oh, come on, it's funny." But then again, there were a lot of times we would leave in jokes for the table read that we knew we were going to cut just to amuse ourselves and have you little monkeys perform for us, so we could laugh at our own inside jokes and leave it at that. But as far as if any writer did get frustrated with the editing, the easiest cure for it was me saying, "Well, why don't you come in the editing room with Joe Fury and I while we do one, and stay the whole time while we're doing it,
Right.
and see what it takes." And it would exhaust people so much that they would go like, "You guys can handle that from now on," because it was the editing was a long process.
Boy, I just noticed that couch. Sorry to cut it. It looks so shiny and green. But I just remember by the end of the season, it didn't have season. The end of the run, it was like kind of,
filthy
yeah.
from everybody lying on it.
Yeah, it was just so new looking there.
That was the couch where a lot of the rewriting suggestions would come, where Paul would sit down with Dave and Maura in the office there, and it's a good look for Steven, I think.
Julie, your memories about this period, beginning of season 2.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I was just so excited to be back to work after suffering through Ireland for hiatus. I didn't care. You know what? I do remember it just sort of taking a really long time to get in the groove of it, and that the director thing just seemed to really be this huge nightmare.
Yeah.
Every week these guys would just sort of feel so unprotected and didn't know what to do, and we had a few real nightmare-y people come in, but it was, you know what? I always had a really good time. I think, I look at these scenes and I think, okay, while they're in here, I think I was napping on the green couch in between, while they're in the bullpen.
It was also a weird time because after doing the first 4 episodes with the writers being just me, Brad, Josh, and Joe, then season 2 we have 22 episodes to do, and we hired more and more people, and some of them worked and some of them didn't, but it felt a little bit like
See, that's what I remember
the
most.
family getting bigger.
Right, it was turning
too
into
fast.
more of a traditional sort of thing.
See, that's what you guys
Yeah, I
talked
did.
about. You remember bitching on like on stage and stuff, but I remember the writers that were there that were sort of like the outcasters, or not in the outer circle. That's where I remember the bitching coming from more so than the
From
actors.
the-
I mean, like
from
I would
those
come down and talk
writers?
to you guys, and it would, you'd be, well, this is, we're never gonna, this isn't gonna happen. But really, I remember certain people.
It was very
really
clear
being
the
happy.
minute somebody walked onto the news radio set to work, whether they were in the club or not.
I know.
It was just
Yeah,
an immediate.
and to be fair to any like guest stars or other writers that started, it was a hard group
must
to
not have
break
been
into.
easy,
It must have
absolutely.
been like being in a clique in high school or something.
Yeah.
We're about to see a pre-Saturday Night Live appearance by Chris Kattan.
I cast him.
Did
Very
you really?
good.
Yes, I
Good
did.
job. This was his
forgot you
last.
did
This
this.
was his last Los Angeles TV thing before he went out to do Saturday Night Live.
And
There
make
he
fun
is.
of Andy Dick on Saturday Night Live.
That's right.
Which
no
Andy Dick,
idea.
Vicki, you sang with Andy Dick and his Bitches of the
I made out with
21st
Andy
Century.
Dick? I sang with him,
no.
yes.
Didn't he have that song about Chris Kattan? He was upset that Chris
Oh,
Kattan
he was because
uh,
Chris was sending him up on Saturday Night Live. It pissed him off, and so he wrote it.
I always thought
Equally
that was. I thought it was funny the way Chris would do Andy on Saturday Night Live, and considering the way Andy makes fun of so many other people. When I heard that he was upset about it, I called him and I said, "Andy, but that's what you do for a living too." And he's like, "No, what he does, it's cruel and it's just wrong." I'm like, I can't believe that you can dish it out but not take it.
Right.
I think on that signboard up there is a list of a lot of the prop people and other crew members.
I thought that was a list of all the people
Really?
we shunned on the show.
That was the outcast list that Julie was talking about. People would come down Monday morning and check the list to see if they were in or out.
Paul, do you ever think of some of the writers we had that and wonder how they fared in their life after we shunned them? And we didn't really. We weren't
No,
really
but
shunning them. It was like you're saying. It was a very hard thing to break into our little world.
I wouldn't want to have done that, but I wish them all the best of luck. I know a lot of them
A lot of
were
them
not
do.
happy.
Sometimes people come up to me in airports and I don't know who they are, and they say, "Hey, remember me?" And they turn out to be a writer on News Radio.
And you don't remember them?
No, because didn't we have some writers that were only there one season?
Yeah, it was this season that
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
some
That
there.
one, and they'll come up and say hi. Inevitably, they wrote on the show, and it was that.
But then also we added some excellent writers this season that ended up being there for the run of the whole series, like Lou Morton and Al Higgins,
Right.
Brian Kelly,
Yeah.
Drake.
Drake Sather. He
Sam
joined
and Chris came in.
Sam and Chris, and
My husband.
Both of them, strangely enough. But
Sam and Chris.
that's next episode's commentary. Tell us about your affair with Sam, Julie, would you? Because we're all here willing to basically talk about anything that happened.
I just like to point
It's
out.
all fair game.
I just like to point out that 8 years before the show CSI came on, I was already using the ultraviolet thing as a gimmick. So
Can I just say one thing
Yes.
in defense of myself and my affair with my now husband?
yes,
Is it was only because the first season I was so in love with Brad Isaacs and he wouldn't pay
Well, he
attention
was
to me.
taken because we were having a.
I know! That's why I hated you!
Oh, now it's coming out.
this is turning into one of those
Yeah.
good commentary sessions.
That was probably what that bone of contention between us.
It
was.
is. You know what that is? We're joking, but that is true because I remember
Yeah.
Julie always had a crush on Brad and thought he looked like Clint Eastwood,
It's true.
and he still does.
You still do.
He's my
He's
cousin.
looking
Yes.
more and more like him every day.
Oh my God.
It's okay, because
Interesting.
I look like Clint Eastwood's mother now.
Oh, stop.
Last night I burned them. I just didn't really feel like you wanted me to sing.
There were all sorts of affairs going on. We
There
can talk
were.
about some of them and probably can't talk about
probably
others.
only our own.
Their
Yeah,
affairs.
yeah. I think we can just only claim our own. But
Yeah.
that was a big blow. And I remember it when the moment that it was completely blown for me by one of Paul's girlfriends at a party at
What?
she blew it for me.
Okay. So an unnamed girlfriend. What did she? How
Unnamed girlfriend.
What did
yes.
she blow? I mean, what did she? How did she?
We were at one of our after parties at like a Hollywood, some club in Hollywood. I'm not sure what it was, and she sort of said something to Brad, and you said to her, "Don't now. He's never gonna ever do anything because you pointed out and you said it."
Oh, she said to Brad, "Julie likes you."
Yeah, something like really high school, and we didn't know at that time that Brad and Vicki were getting it on. So, we didn't know it was already blown.
You know, I
then.
didn't even really know for sure just until about 30 seconds ago.
Are you serious?
I always suspected, but I was never sure. And then there was the time around this time. Also, we went to one of those press events at the Pasadena Ritz-Carlton, and I tried to get Vicki to go in the hot tub
I
with
thought
me.
you were mocking me out the whole time. I thought you didn't really like me and were just making fun of me.
And I got really jealous because I was sitting there. Vicky and I just had started having this affair, and I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, Paul and Vicky disappear for like an hour and a half. And I'm thinking, God dang it, that Paul, he's going there, he's screwing Vicky. Gosh darn it.
When Brad left News Radio, I thought you hated me because if anybody was on Brad's side, then you had to hate me. You know what I mean?
No, I know, but then we made
we kind of made up.
No,
it was tense
we
with us.
really it was tense for a little while, but then at the beginning of the third season, we
Yeah.
made up. You came in my office, and then you started crying,
I did.
and I had
That
to
is always-
and I had to
you had to
forgive
forgive
you.
me.
I
For
do remember,
what, by the way?
I
Forgive
know.
me for what?
I don't
Yeah.
know, for being on his side.
Yeah,
that was back
exactly.
when we were on the outs, and he was
Yeah.
packing up his stuff and going down to Mexico
Right.
to get his head together.
That NBC party that you're talking about, that I sort of realized something was kind of going on between you guys, and I wasn't sure. I got so drunk that I had to lay down on the floor of the Ritz-Carlton bathroom because it was marble and it was cold and it was the only thing that felt good.
And all this behavior was happening, by the way, at an event where all the television critics from all over America come to meet the stars and find things to write about with the upcoming season. And I was always worried that we should be behaving better. Then we ended up playing the piano in the bar, and they kicked us out because Josh Lee was singing too loud. I remember, though, after Vicki and I came back from walking around and our little hot tub excursion, she didn't get in the hot tub. I knew it was bothering Brad because he got so drunk that... Didn't you throw up in the limo on the way home?
No, I didn't throw up.
No,
in
but
the
you were
limo.
really, when we got back, you were really 18 sheets to the wind,
That's
as they say.
not
This is, by the
like
way,
me.
this is one of my favorite moments of the whole series. This.
That's showing nudie photos of herself with a paper bag over her.
Check it out.
The Spalding Gray line from Cambodia.
I always like the way in that scene, which she shows Bill the photos, and then the length of time between that and when he says it to Andy is so long.
It's
he sort of
brilliant.
walks slowly. This was another of my hugest pet peeves that remains to this day. I can't stand seeing actors eat
out of
during a scene, and I can't stand it, especially when it's Chinese food. It infuriates me.
And yet we always had it.
Yes, I know, and it would infuriate me
Why
every
did you
time.
change it?
I think towards the end I did.
Did you?
I just, you know what? It's when it's Chinese food, everyone wants to use chopsticks,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden
Yeah.
becomes much more about, look, I know how to use chopsticks, and not about the lines.
You know what? You don't like when actors have business, Paul.
I don't mind some bit. Well, you know, it depends on who the actor is. If it was Andy, his business was sniffing anything he could find. That was his little addition of business, you know. Other business I don't mind, but the Chinese food makes me crazy, almost as crazy as those generic cola cans that are so prominently featured in the foreground right there. When you put a show on TV, you can't say it's either
What's on
Coca-Cola or
Joe's shirt?
Pepsi Cola.
Sorry.
Um,
Oh, a piece of that. Oh, but that's not good. It hasn't exploded yet.
Oh,
speak of the devil. Exploding cheese.
you know, Paul, back to the Pasadena Hilton.
Yes.
Would you like to take this moment to confess to your criminal behavior that night?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I think
did
there might
you
have been
do?
an expensive walkie-talkie, possibly.
You mean the security guys left their walkie-talkies in the wrong place? It was a joke.
I was so relieved when I found out Vicki came back. He says, no, we didn't screw or anything. Paul just stole this $1,500 walkie-talkie, and I was like, good.
I returned it later.
Did you really?
Yeah, the next year's Pasadena event.
No, you did. We weren't invited to that the
I
next
still have that shirt.
Do you?
Yeah.
There's
Saw
a
it the other
necklace
day.
that Maura had on in the beginning of this that I still have.
There are, those critic parties were fun, but
There's that one where Dave put his microphone in that guy's glass.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
thinking
as
that.
He had
time
taken
as time went
malaria
on, it got me
medicine.
more and more nervous. Then he was taking the anti-malaria pills,
Yeah.
and then he also got in a fist fight with Tony from Brillstein Ray.
He did?
Well, it was almost a fist fight. I think some people pulled him off.
Well, I think he was didn't he throw
They threw a drink at him?
at Tony's face? I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Again, all things you don't want people doing, but especially not at a party where there's about 150 reporters
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. We were banned from the SAG Awards.
Yeah, that came up the other day. What was there was some bad behavior?
Well, we had some. Andy asked Helen Hunt if he could have her autograph on his penis. And we all went around. We had a bad table, and we were all pissed about it. So we went around and we stole all the wine off all the other tables, and our shoes were off, and it was all wrong. Just. And we got a letter, like, through NBC that following next couple days saying we were banned from the SAG Awards, that we were never invited back.
Let's see. That's a badge of honor, I guess.
You know, I think that as much as we can say that we had bad behavior at certain things, that we all wanted the show to do well. That was just it, and
That's true.
and it was, we'd get to these things and we'd feel so insignificant and passed over, and that's the only thing people would ask everybody about. Well, how come? How do you feel about being moved? How do you feel about this? And so we just, numbed our feelings.
It is true that at a lot of those press events, it became not like, so Vicki, tell what's your character doing this season? It was all about, so how do you feel about being moved 18 times? And
right.
how do you feel about low ratings? And do you guys think you'll survive? And all that. But I have to say, even after having said that, if we'd been a top 10 show and been beating Seinfeld even, I think the behavior would have just been worse.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, you know what? That's only because we all for some weird reason clicked on a level that I don't. Maybe it happens on other shows and stuff like that. And
I've not experienced it since.
I haven't heard of anybody experiencing it.
I haven't experienced it
And,
before.
I mean,
or
we
since,
really, writers and actors and crew, everybody really got. I mean, we hung out together constantly.
We sure did.
Yeah, I think everybody on the lot sort of hated us because they knew we were having so much fun.
I think everyone in television hated us.
Remember, Paul? I had my dog Duke, and Paul had a couple of his dogs, and they would sort of run free, and invariably, at least Duke would go down and take a dump under the writers' table at the John Larroquette show, and I would get called. I remember more than once I got called down there, and I would walk into this room where there's 12 people sitting around a table, very sort of stone-faced, and there's a steaming pile, and I have to go with my, like my 409 and my paper towel and clean up as they're continuing their rewrite session there.
On the other hand, the smell in that room may have been the script they were working on.
That's a good way to end this one, I think.
I don't think you're going to beat that one.
I think that was genius.
No, but seriously, on the John Larroquette DVD, oh, I'm sorry.
Chris Kattan, Greg Heschong, our director of photography, Michael Gallenberg, excellent assistant, Tony Heyman, our editor, Don Spark, Lieberman Hirschfeld, who cast the show, Mike Post did the music, Orit Schwartz, Jody Mann, Maria Valdez,
Bruce Grayson.
Bruce
Don't forget
Grayson.
Bruce Grayson.
Petard
One of the
Sullivan.
finest makeup men.
Spider was a PA
And
then. Oh
and
my God.
not last but not least, but Brillstein Gray.